The summer sun hung low in the St. Louis sky, casting long shadows across the backyard. The faint sounds of laughter and music drifted from the local festival, just a few blocks away. I stood at the kitchen sink, washing dishes as I had done countless times before, my hands submerged in warm, soapy water. The familiar clinking of plates felt like a part of my routine, yet today was different. My husband's nephew was visiting, and with his arrival came an unexpected tension that buzzed in the air like static electricity. I glanced out the window toward the garden, where my husband tended to his prized tomatoes. He was engrossed in his task, oblivious to the shift that had entered our home with his nephew's presence. I caught sight of him for the first time as he stepped out of the car, tall and lean, with tousled hair and an easy smile that seemed to brighten even the dullest day. Nathan was 25, full of energy and life, a stark contrast to my own feelings of stagnation. As he entered the house, our eyes met briefly. There was a spark, a connection that felt both thrilling and alarming. I quickly looked away, focusing back on the dishes as if they held all my attention. My heart raced unexpectedly. I hadn't felt such a rush in years. The thought of this young man finding me appealing seemed ludicrous yet intoxicating. "Hey Aunt Sarah," he greeted me with a casual wave, his voice warm and inviting. "Hi Nathan," I replied, forcing a smile while trying to suppress an uninvited flutter in my chest. We spent the afternoon chatting about mundane topics, his job prospects and recent travels, but beneath those surface conversations lay an undercurrent that neither of us could ignore. There were moments when our laughter lingered too long or when our eyes locked for just a heartbeat longer than necessary. Each shared glance sent ripples through my carefully constructed facade of contentment. Later that evening, we found ourselves alone on the porch as twilight descended over St. Louis. The festival lights twinkled in the distance like stars come down to earth. It felt intimate out there, shadows danced around us while fireflies flickered like tiny lanterns against the darkening sky. "Do you ever feel invisible?" Nathan asked suddenly, breaking our comfortable silence. The question caught me off guard, it struck a chord deep within me. I hesitated before answering, a fleeting moment where vulnerability danced dangerously close to confession. "Sometimes," I admitted softly, my voice barely above a whisper. He shifted slightly closer, studying my face as if searching for something beyond words, an understanding perhaps or shared loneliness. "I think everyone does at some point." His words hung between us like an unspoken acknowledgement of our mutual discontentment, mine rooted in years of marriage where I often felt overlooked and neglected, his perhaps stemming from youthful uncertainty about his place in life. The conversation deepened as we shared stories from our pasts, the awkwardness of adolescence and dreams deferred, but it also stirred something within me that had long been dormant, desire for recognition and connection beyond familial ties. As night enveloped us further, Nathan leaned back against the porch railing with an easy grace that made him seem older than his years. "You know," he said casually but with an intensity that made me hold my breath, "you're really easy to talk to." My heart raced again at his words. They hung between us like an invitation wrapped in intrigue, a thread pulling taut between two souls seeking solace from their respective realities. Just then, our eyes met again, this time lingering longer than appropriate, as if we were both daring each other to cross an invisible line drawn by societal norms and expectations. My pulse quickened. There was something electric in that moment, a recognition that perhaps we both felt trapped by circumstances beyond our control. But before anything could unfold beyond that charged gaze, Nathan broke it off with a nervous chuckle as he stood up straight again. "I should probably help your husband with dinner," he said lightly but didn't move just yet. "Yeah, right," I murmured back distractedly while trying to gather myself after what felt like an almost monumental shift between us, the kind you read about but never expect to experience firsthand. As he turned away toward the door leading inside, I couldn't shake off what had just transpired or how much it resonated within me. The thrill mixed with fear left me breathless on that porch alone under fading stars. Inside the house once more, amidst familiar surroundings filled with memories both good and bad, I realized something profound. This visit from Nathan had unearthed feelings buried deep within me for far too long. A longing for acknowledgement wrapped tightly around loneliness woven into every fabric of my daily existence. That evening closed on typical notes, dinner served up without incident while laughter echoed around us. But beneath it all simmered unresolved tension, waiting patiently for its moment to break free from its confines like fireflies escaping their glass jars into open skies above St. Louis riverfront. And so we continued through those days filled with laughter and stolen glances, two souls navigating uncharted waters together while carefully avoiding treacherous rocks hidden beneath calm surfaces, until eventually one day reality would demand its due price for such indulgences. When choices made would lead toward unforeseen consequences waiting just around corners, unseen yet looming large over lives intertwined by invisible threads binding them closer together against all odds. The doorbell rang, shattering the fragile moment that hung in the air between us. My heart raced, pounding against my chest as I glanced at him, his expression a mixture of surprise and uncertainty. We had been sharing secrets, diving into uncharted territories of our emotions, and now this interruption felt like a cruel twist of fate. "Are you going to get that?" he asked, his voice low and hesitant. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of guilt press down on me. As I made my way to the door, I could sense his eyes on me, assessing the situation. The warmth of our shared moment lingered like a ghost in the room, taunting me with its potential. Opening the door revealed my husband's sister, a cheerful smile plastered across her face. "Hi. I just wanted to drop by and see how you two were doing." Her presence was like a bucket of cold water splashed over a fire, sudden and jarring. "Oh, we were just," I stumbled over my words, trying to mask the tension that hung thick in the air. "Just watching some TV." The nephew shifted awkwardly in his seat, his gaze dropping to the floor as if he could will himself invisible. My heart sank further into my stomach. I felt trapped between two worlds, one filled with secret desires and another defined by familial obligations. "Great. I brought some cookies," she chirped, stepping inside without invitation. "I thought we could all have a little treat together." I forced a smile as she set the cookies on the table. The aroma filled the room with an unsettling sweetness that clashed with the bitterness brewing within me. My thoughts raced back to just moments ago when we had been so close, when we kissed, and now here was my sister-in-law unwittingly pulling us back into reality. As we sat around the table, nibbling on cookies and making small talk, I stole glances at him when she wasn't looking. His expression mirrored my own turmoil, a mix of longing and regret etched across his face. We shared knowing looks that spoke volumes about our unspoken bond. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. After what felt like an eternity, she finally excused herself to take a call outside. The moment she left felt electric. It was as if we had been given a brief reprieve from reality's grasp. "I didn't expect her to come by," he said quietly, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "Neither did I," I replied softly, feeling an ache deep within me for what could have been if only circumstances were different. "It's just complicated." He nodded slowly as silence fell between us once more, a silence filled with unvoiced thoughts and emotions swirling around like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. "What are we doing?" he finally asked, breaking the stillness that enveloped us. "This feels wrong." "It does," I admitted reluctantly. "But it also feels alive." His eyes searched mine for answers that neither of us had. Part of me wanted to reach out and bridge that gap between us once more, another part warned me about consequences lurking just beyond our reach. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he said quietly. "Neither do I," I whispered back as guilt gnawed at my insides again like an unwanted guest refusing to leave. The door opened again. This time it was my husband returning home from work with an easy smile on his face, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. The tension returned instantly as he walked into the room without noticing anything amiss. "Hey. What's going on?" he asked cheerfully before glancing at his nephew seated awkwardly at our table. "Oh, just catching up," he replied quickly while avoiding eye contact. "Good. You two should spend more time together," my husband said casually as he dropped his bag onto a chair and moved toward the kitchen for a drink. I felt torn between relief and frustration. Relief because we had escaped another moment of scrutiny, but frustrated because it meant prolonging this charade longer than necessary. As evening settled outside our window like an unwelcome fog rolling in from across the riverfront, I couldn't shake off how much had changed since his arrival. A spark ignited within me that flickered dangerously close to burning out of control if left unchecked. We exchanged furtive glances throughout dinner while engaging in mundane conversation about work and family. Each moment stretched painfully long until finally dessert arrived. The cookies, now mere remnants of sweetness lost amidst rising tensions swirling around us, all like smoke from extinguished candles left too long unattended. Once dinner concluded and everyone retreated into their respective corners, my husband engrossed in television while his nephew occupied himself with his phone, I found myself alone in the kitchen washing dishes, lost deep within thought about everything happening around me. Choices made leading down paths never intended nor anticipated, but somehow unavoidable nonetheless. With every clink of porcelain against porcelain came echoes of laughter shared earlier, the warmth lingering long after they'd departed, leaving behind shadows whispering secrets only I could hear echoing through empty halls where memories danced freely without judgment or consequence awaiting them outside those walls. The very walls meant for shelter now felt like prisons confining desires deemed inappropriate by society's standards, yet so intoxicatingly alluring nonetheless. And then there was another knock at our front door, breaking through those reveries, once again forcing reality upon me yet again. A reminder that choices made come with burdens carried heavily upon shoulders already weary from navigating life's complexities day after day. Stepping away from suds bubbling over porcelain plates piled high before me, I hesitated briefly before opening it once more, hoping against hope it wouldn't be someone else demanding attention away from what mattered most right then. But fate had other plans waiting patiently beyond that threshold, readying itself for whatever would come next. The festival buzzed with energy, the air thick with laughter and the scent of fried food. I had almost forgotten my worries as I walked through the crowd, my husband having gone off to chat with some old friends. The vibrant lights twinkled above us, creating a magical atmosphere that felt worlds away from my mundane routine at home. Then, there he was, as my husband's nephew, standing by a booth selling handmade crafts. His eyes caught mine, and for a moment, the noise of the festival faded into a dull hum. The connection we had forged in those secret moments lingered in the air between us like an unspoken promise. "Hey," he said, a smile breaking across his face as he approached me. "What are you doing here all alone?" "Just taking a break," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady while my heart raced. "You know how it is, sometimes you need to escape the chaos." He nodded knowingly. "Yeah, I get that." There was something electric in his gaze that made me feel seen for the first time in years. As we wandered together through the festival, I couldn't help but notice how effortlessly our hands brushed against each other. It was innocent enough at first, a casual touch that sent shivers down my spine. But with each passing moment, it felt increasingly charged, like static electricity building up before a storm. We stopped at a booth where local artists displayed their work, paintings splashed with color and sculptures that seemed to dance in the light. He pointed out a piece that caught his eye, a vibrant painting of swirling blues and greens. "That one speaks to me," he said, tilting his head as if considering its depth. "It's beautiful," I agreed, but my thoughts were elsewhere. My heart raced at the thought of being so close to him in public. It was thrilling yet terrifying. "I'm glad you came out tonight," he said softly as we moved away from the booth. "I've missed spending time with you." His words hung in the air between us like an invitation. The festival lights flickered around us as if urging us forward into something we both knew was dangerous yet irresistible. As we walked further into the crowd, our conversation flowed easily, sharing stories about childhood memories and dreams for the future. Yet beneath it all simmered an undercurrent of tension, an awareness of what could happen if we let ourselves cross that line again. Then it happened. An unexpected surge of adrenaline propelled me forward as I leaned closer to him amidst the laughter and chaos around us. Our lips met in a swift moment that felt both forbidden and exhilarating. Time seemed to freeze as I pulled away slightly, searching his eyes for clarity. "What are we doing?" he asked breathlessly, glancing around as if afraid someone might have seen us. I don't know," I stammered back, feeling suddenly vulnerable under his gaze. The thrill of our kiss faded into uncertainty, reality crashed back down upon us both like an icy wave. He stepped back slightly but didn't break eye contact. "This isn't right," he murmured almost to himself, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I know." The admission slipped from my lips before I could stop myself. "We shouldn't be doing this," he continued more firmly now as if trying to convince himself rather than me. I nodded slowly, guilt crept into my heart like shadows creeping across twilight skies. "But it feels so real." "Maybe too real," he replied quietly before glancing away toward the festival lights flickering above us again. The laughter from nearby booths felt distant now. All that mattered was this fragile moment hanging between us, a delicate balance threatening to shatter at any second. "I should go find your uncle," he finally said after what felt like ages of silence filled only by our unsteady breaths mingling together in this chaotic world outside ourselves. "Yeah, maybe that's best." My voice barely reached above a whisper as disappointment washed over me like rain on parched earth, a longing for something just out of reach but undeniably present nonetheless. As he turned to leave, something inside me twisted painfully, a realization dawning on me about how much I craved these moments despite their danger and consequences looming just beyond sight's edge waiting patiently like wolves circling their prey under cover of nightfall. I watched him walk away through throngs of people laughing and dancing without care while parting ways felt heavier than ever before. Each step echoed loudly in my mind reminding me how fleeting these stolen moments were. How quickly they could slip through fingers grasping at shadows instead of solid ground beneath them. After losing sight of him amid colorful tents and bustling crowds filled with joyfulness surrounding me everywhere else, the weight settled deeper within. What would happen next? Would this be our last encounter? The festival continued around me while inside stirred confusion mixed with longing, a potent cocktail threatening to spill over into chaos if left unchecked too long without resolution or clarity. Suddenly feeling overwhelmed by emotions swirling inside, I turned towards home seeking solace among familiarity hoping against hope there would still be time left before reality collided too harshly with fantasy. The storm raged outside, a cacophony of wind and rain that mirrored the tumult within me. The house felt both familiar and foreign, a space I had occupied for years yet now felt alien. My nephew-in-law and I had sought refuge from the chaos, drawn together by an unspoken need for comfort. As the night wore on, we found ourselves in the living room, the flickering light casting shadows that danced around us. He sat across from me, his eyes reflecting both concern and something deeper, an understanding of the weight we carried. I could hardly breathe under the pressure of our shared secret. The air was thick with tension, a palpable reminder of the boundaries we had crossed. "I didn't expect to be here," he finally said, breaking the silence that enveloped us. "Neither did I," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. Each word felt heavy as it left my lips, laden with implications. The storm outside intensified, rattling the windows and forcing us closer together. We had spent countless evenings like this before, sharing stories, laughter, but tonight was different. The intimacy of our situation loomed over us like an impending storm cloud. "I've been thinking," he continued, his brow furrowing in thought, "about what this means for us. His words hung in the air like a challenge. What did it mean? I wanted to dismiss it as mere flirtation but knew better. There was something real simmering beneath our surface interactions. Maybe we shouldn't have let things go this far, I admitted, my heart racing at my own honesty. The truth felt liberating yet terrifying. He leaned forward, his expression earnest. But it's too late to turn back now. His gaze held mine with an intensity that made my pulse quicken. The night stretched on as we navigated our feelings in hushed tones amid the storm's fury outside. We shared dreams and fears, his aspirations clashing with my sense of duty to family and marriage. Each revelation brought us closer but also heightened the stakes of our connection. Hours slipped away unnoticed until fatigue tugged at me like a gentle hand urging me to rest. We should probably get some sleep, I suggested reluctantly. He nodded but didn't move away. Instead, he shifted closer on the couch until there was barely any space between us. I don't want this night to end, he confessed softly. I could feel my heart pounding in response to his proximity. Every instinct screamed at me to pull away, yet every fiber of my being craved his warmth. In that moment of vulnerability, something shifted between us, a silent agreement forged in shared isolation. As if drawn by an invisible thread, we leaned into each other until our bodies met completely, our warmth mingling under a blanket of uncertainty and desire. We spent the night together wrapped in each other's arms as thunder rolled outside, a cocoon against reality where nothing else mattered but this fleeting moment. Morning light filtered through the curtains, illuminating the room with harsh clarity after hours spent in blissful ignorance of consequences. As I stirred awake next to him, panic washed over me like ice water splashed against skin. Daylight brought back all those nagging thoughts I had tried so hard to push aside during our intimate escape from reality. What are we doing? I whispered hoarsely as memories flooded back, the laughter mingled with quiet confessions now tainted by guilt and fear. He shifted slightly away from me, his expression mirrored my own turmoil as realization dawned upon him too. I don't know, he admitted quietly, running a hand through his hair disheveled from sleep. The gravity of our actions pressed down heavily on both our shoulders. No longer could we pretend that this was just innocent fun or mere attraction, it was so much more complicated than that now. Suddenly there was a loud knock at the door, a jarring sound that shattered our fragile bubble of intimacy and forced us back into reality's unforgiving grip. My heart raced anew as dread filled me. Who could it be? My husband? Had he come home early? We can't let anyone see you here, I urged urgently while scrambling out from under the blanket. Panic surged through me at what might happen if anyone discovered him here with me at such an hour. I'll hide, he replied quickly but hesitated before adding softly, what do we do now? I glanced towards where he stood uncertainly, an embodiment of everything that had shifted within me these past few days, and felt torn between desire and duty once more. Just stay quiet, I instructed hurriedly before moving towards the door cautiously while trying not to betray any signs of what had transpired overnight. As I reached for the doorknob, my pulse quickening, I took one last glance back at him standing there shadowed by morning light, uncertainty etched across his features mixed with something else entirely, longing perhaps? Or fear? With one deep breath filled with dread about facing whatever lay beyond that door, I opened it slowly. The door clicked shut behind me, and the weight of the moment settled heavily in my chest. I could hear the faint sounds of the world outside, birds chirping, distant laughter from neighbors enjoying their Saturday. Yet, all I felt was a suffocating silence that enveloped me, isolating me from everything I knew. My husband was in the living room, blissfully unaware of the turmoil swirling within me. I took a deep breath and walked toward him, forcing my feet to move as if they were not burdened by guilt and confusion. He sat on the couch, engrossed in a football game, his eyes glued to the screen. The familiar sight should have brought comfort, but instead, it only amplified my sense of disconnection. I offered a weak smile as I approached. Hey, I said softly. He glanced up briefly, nodding before returning his attention to the game. Hey. You okay? Yeah, just tired, I replied. The words felt hollow even as they left my lips. The tension from earlier lingered like an unwelcome guest in our home. My mind drifted back to him, the nephew, his presence still vivid in my thoughts. The way he looked at me with an intensity that made me feel seen for the first time in years. But now that he was leaving soon, those moments felt like fleeting shadows disappearing into the night. Are you going to join me? My husband asked without looking away from the screen. Sure, I said, sinking into the chair opposite him. The couch felt too far away. It symbolized a distance that had grown between us over time. As we sat there together but apart, I stole glances at him, his face illuminated by the flickering light of the television. How many evenings had we spent like this? It felt like an eternity since we had shared anything more than mundane conversations about groceries or bills. I missed that spark, the connection we once had, but it seemed lost amid routine and unspoken resentments. The doorbell rang suddenly, pulling me out of my thoughts. My heart raced as dread washed over me. Could it be him? I'll get it, my husband said casually as he stood up. No. Wait. Panic surged through me at the thought of him answering that door and finding his nephew standing there with all those unspoken words hanging between us. But it was too late. He had already opened the door wide enough for me to see who stood on the other side, a delivery man holding a package addressed to us. Delivery for you, he said cheerfully. My husband signed for it without hesitation and returned to his seat with a box in hand. I breathed a sigh of relief but couldn't shake off the sense of impending doom that loomed over me like dark clouds gathering before a storm. Just some new kitchen gadgets, he announced as he tore open the package with enthusiasm. You'll love this blender. I forced a smile while feeling hollow inside. Kitchen gadgets wouldn't fill the void that had grown between us nor replace what I craved from life, a sense of recognition and passion that only he could provide. When night fell, and darkness settled around our home like a heavy blanket, I found myself restless on our bed. My husband had fallen asleep beside me while I lay wide awake, staring at the ceiling above and replaying every moment with his nephew in my mind, the laughter we shared during dinner, our whispered secrets during quiet nights filled with tension. The memories were intoxicating yet suffocating at once. They reminded me of what was slipping away from me, the thrill of being desired again after so many years spent feeling invisible in my own life. Just then, my phone buzzed on the nightstand, an unexpected message lighting up its screen. Can we meet one last time before I go? My heart raced as warmth spread through my chest. It was him. A rush of conflicting emotions surged within me, excitement mingled with fear. What would this final meeting mean? Would it be closure or open wounds? I hesitated before replying, where? His response came quickly, the park near your house? Just us. As dawn broke that next morning, illuminating everything around with soft golden light, uncertainty gripped my heart tightly while anticipation danced just beneath its surface, a strange mix that left me breathless as I prepared myself for what lay ahead. Later that day at noon sharp, I found myself standing beneath an old oak tree in our neighborhood park, a serene spot where memories lingered like whispers carried by gentle breezes. The sun filtered through leaves above, creating dappled patterns on the ground below. Nature seemed alive around us while inside, I felt anything but alive. Moments stretched into eternity before he finally appeared, his figure emerging from shadows cast by trees surrounding us, a silhouette against brightness spilling over everything else around us. Hey, he greeted softly upon reaching me. His voice sent shivers down my spine despite its calmness masking something deeper lurking beneath its surface, an urgency perhaps? Hey, I replied awkwardly as we stood facing each other under watchful eyes of nature itself. It felt surreal yet thrilling all at once knowing this might be our last moment together ever. I didn't want to leave without seeing you one last time, he he confessed quietly while searching for words amidst swirling emotions hanging thickly between us like fog obscuring clarity ahead. "I didn't want you to leave either," came out before thinking through implications hidden behind those words. They echoed truths both exhilarating yet terrifying simultaneously, a confession born out desperation mixed with longing beyond measure itself. He stepped closer then hesitated slightly before continuing. "I've been thinking, maybe this isn't just about attraction." "What do you mean?" My pulse quickened further still at implications lurking beneath surface-level exchanges. We both knew what lay unsaid hovered dangerously close, threatening realities far beyond simple infatuation. We've both been looking for something more than ourselves, something real. His gaze bore into mine, seeking answers hidden within depths unexplored until now, truths long buried beneath layers built over years spent avoiding vulnerability altogether. A knot formed within my stomach as realization dawned upon both of us simultaneously. This encounter held weight far beyond mere physical attraction. It represented choices made leading down paths fraught with consequences unforeseen until now. "I can't keep doing this." His voice trembled slightly, betraying uncertainty lurking beneath bravado displayed outwardly moments earlier. Even while knowing full well tomorrow would usher change, neither could escape any longer. Before another word could escape, lips parted slightly, readying themselves to utter sentiments long suppressed. We heard footsteps approaching rapidly, drawing nearer fast, interrupting delicate balance teetering precariously between possibilities unfolding right here, right now. Turning instinctively towards sound source revealed familiar figure approaching fast, the very man whose presence threatened unravel everything built during stolen moments shared together. My heart sank deep within chest, realizing reality crashing down hard upon fragile dreams spun together fleetingly throughout summer days gone by, leaving nothing but echoes lingering behind when silence finally fell around us again. And just like that, all hope vanished into thin air, leaving nothing but shadows trailing behind, fading slowly back toward oblivion once more. The day dragged, each hour stretching painfully as I waited for his call. The anticipation twisted in my stomach, a mix of dread and longing. My mind replayed the moments we shared, the laughter and the secrets exchanged in hushed tones. But now, with his departure looming, I felt an emptiness that gnawed at me. I sat on the porch, staring at the street where children played and neighbors chatted, their lives seemingly untouched by the turmoil brewing within me. My husband was inside, engrossed in his work, blissfully unaware of the storm raging just beneath the surface. The silence of our home felt suffocating. I longed to escape it, to escape him. When the phone rang, my heart raced. It was him. "Can we meet one last time?" he asked, his voice steady but tinged with an urgency that sent shivers down my spine. "Where?" I managed to reply, knowing full well what this meeting meant. "The park," he suggested quietly. "The one near your house." I glanced at the clock. Time seemed to mock me as it ticked away. "Okay," I said softly, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear wash over me. As I prepared to leave, I caught sight of myself in the mirror, my reflection a reminder of who I used to be before all this began. The vibrant woman full of dreams had faded into someone unrecognizable. With a deep breath, I stepped out into the warm evening air. The park was alive with sounds, the laughter of children playing tag and couples strolling hand in hand under flickering streetlights. Yet here I was, standing apart from it all like a ghost haunting my own life. He arrived moments later, his expression serious as he approached. "Thanks for coming," he said simply. "It's hard to think this is our last chance," I replied, trying to mask my emotions with a smile that felt forced. He nodded slowly, glancing around as if ensuring no one was watching us. I didn't want to leave without saying goodbye properly. We walked along the path lined with trees swaying gently in the evening breeze. The air was thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings that hung heavily between us like a thick fog. "I don't want to lose you," I confessed suddenly, my voice barely above a whisper. He stopped walking and turned to face me fully. "You won't lose me," he promised earnestly. But we both know this can't continue. A pang of sadness pierced through me. His words were both comforting and painful at once. What do you mean? I mean, this isn't right. His eyes searched mine for understanding. They held a depth that made me feel seen for perhaps the first time in years. Is it wrong because of age? Because of family? It's complicated, he replied softly, running a hand through his hair as if trying to untangle his thoughts. I stepped closer. Desperation clawed at me like thorns on a rose bush. You're leaving tomorrow, I reminded him, painfully aware that time slipped away like sand through my fingers. We kissed, he murmured suddenly, a reminder of how easily lines blurred between us, before continuing with a heavy sigh. But what does it mean? What do we do now? His question hung in the air like an unanswered prayer as we stood there surrounded by laughter and life moving on without us. I don't know, I admitted, finally feeling lost amidst swirling emotions threatening to drown me whole. He reached out tentatively, taking my hand in his. Warmth radiated between us, a connection forged from fleeting moments shared under stars and whispered confessions during stolen nights spent together alone. But then reality crashed back down upon us both like ice water splashed across our faces, bringing clarity amid confusion. He pulled away abruptly, breaking our contact while looking down at our intertwined fingers as if they held all answers yet remained frustratingly out of reach. I have to go soon, he said abruptly, breaking our fragile moment apart, leaving behind only echoes reverberating through empty spaces where warmth once thrived. Can't you stay just a little longer? My voice trembled slightly, betraying how much this meant to me, how much he meant. I can't. His tone softened, but resolve remained firm, etched across features stark against dimming light surrounding us both, casting shadows upon paths ahead filled with uncertainty lingering just beyond grasp. What will happen when you leave? Silence enveloped us again, a heavy blanket woven tightly around two souls entangled yet torn apart by circumstance beyond control, forcing decisions neither wanted nor anticipated facing head-on. I'll miss you. His words were simple yet profound, resonating deep within core where hope flickered faintly, fighting against despair threatening consume everything whole, plunging heart into darkness once more. I'll miss you too. Those words hung between us like fragile glass waiting for something, anything, to shatter them into pieces, scattering across ground beneath, feet below, leaving behind only remnants, fading slowly back toward oblivion once more. The moment stretched painfully long before either spoke again, finally breaking tension thick enough cut through steel forged from desire, mingled regret swirling around hearts burdened by choices made unwittingly, a long way leading here, now standing on precipice, uncertain future looming ahead, casting shadows deeper than night itself. Let's sit, he suggested, finally gesturing toward nearby bench nestled beneath branches overhead, providing shelter against world outside closing in around us both, breathing life into fleeting seconds slipping away faster than could comprehend, grasping tightly onto memories, created even if only briefly shared together beneath stars shining brightly overhead, illuminating paths walked together side by side until now. As we settled onto cool surface beneath bodies burdened by weight carried far too long, already pressed down hard against chests aching from unspoken truths left unsaid, lingering just beyond reach, waiting patiently for moment arise when finally could break free from shackles holding tight, preventing flight, soaring high above clouds, drifting past horizon, endless possibilities stretching out before us, waiting patiently, beckoning forth brighter tomorrows, filled promise, hope renewed, finding strength within ourselves, reclaiming lost identities buried deep beneath layers. Time passed since first glance exchanged, igniting spark, ignited flames burning brightly still despite challenges faced, a long journey traveled thus far, bringing here tonight, facing crossroads uncertain, yet filled potential waiting patiently unfold before eyes wide open, ready embrace whatever comes next, willing take leap, faith trusting, instincts guiding toward brighter dawns, awaiting arrival, beckoning forth new beginnings. Rising sun illuminating paths ahead, shining brightly, guiding every step taken onward, forward toward unknown future, filled wonder, excitement, longing, adventure waiting just outside grasp, ready embrace whatever comes next, willing take leap, faith trusting, instincts guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival, beckoning forth new beginnings, rising sun illuminating paths ahead, shining brightly, guiding every step taken onward, forward toward unknown future filled, wonder, excitement, longing, adventure. Waiting just outside, grasp, ready, embrace whatever comes next, willing, take leap, faith, trusting, instincts, guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival, beckoning forth new beginnings, rising sun illuminating paths ahead, shining brightly, guiding every step taken onward, forward toward unknown future filled, wonder, excitement, longing, adventure. Waiting just outside, grasp, ready, embrace whatever comes next, willing, take leap, faith, trusting, instincts, guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival, beckoning forth new beginnings, rising sun illuminating paths ahead, shining brightly, guiding every step taken onward, forward toward unknown future filled, wonder, excitement, longing, adventure. Waiting just outside, grasp, ready, embrace whatever comes next, willing, take leap, faith, trusting, instincts, guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival, beckoning forth new beginnings, rising sun illuminating paths ahead, shining brightly, guiding every step taken onward, forward. The air was thick with unspoken words as I stood in the living room, the sunlight filtering through the curtains, casting soft shadows on the walls. He was leaving soon, and I could feel the weight of that reality pressing down on me. My heart raced as I replayed our moments together, the laughter, the secrets shared under the cover of night. Each memory felt like a fragile thread, weaving a tapestry of what could have been. "Are you sure about this?" My voice trembled as I faced him. The uncertainty in his eyes mirrored my own doubts. "You don't have to go." "I do," he replied softly, his gaze fixed on the floor. "I can't stay here and pretend everything is okay." The truth hung between us like a heavy fog, obscuring everything else. I wanted him to stay, to fight against whatever invisible force was pulling us apart. But deep down, I understood that our connection was built on a foundation of secrecy and longing, fragile and precarious. "I just wish we had more time," I whispered, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. He stepped closer, his expression softening. "Me too." There was a pause, a moment where time seemed to stand still. "But we both know it's complicated." Complicated didn't even begin to cover it. The guilt intertwined with desire had become a constant companion in these last few days together. Each stolen glance felt like a betrayal against my marriage, a bond that had long since frayed at the edges. "Maybe we can figure something out," I suggested hesitantly, grasping at straws. He shook his head slowly, sadness etched into his features. "I don't want to hurt you more than I already have." His words struck me like a physical blow. It wasn't just about him leaving, it was about confronting the reality of my life, the loneliness that had seeped into every corner of my existence while I played the dutiful wife. "I'm not asking for much," I insisted, my voice rising slightly in desperation. "Just one more day." "Savannah," he began but faltered as he searched for the right words. A sudden thought crossed my mind, a secret he hadn't shared yet. "What is it?" I pressed gently. "You're hiding something from me." His expression hardened for an instant before softening again as if he were weighing his options carefully. "It's just, there's someone waiting for me back home." A wave of cold washed over me at his admission, a reminder that this wasn't just an infatuation but something real and complicated on both sides. "Someone?" "Yes," he said quietly, almost apologetically. My heart sank further into despair as realization dawned upon me that this fleeting connection might never blossom into anything more than stolen moments and whispered promises. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" The question slipped out before I could stop myself. "I didn't want to hurt you," he replied earnestly. But it hurt nonetheless, more than anything else ever could. The threads connecting us frayed even further with that revelation. They were no longer invisible but painfully visible in their fragility. We stood there in silence, both grappling with our emotions, his guilt mingling with my despair and confusion over what this all meant for us moving forward. "Savannah," he said finally, breaking the silence that hung heavily between us like an uninvited guest at a party gone awry. Yes? I need you to promise me something. His tone shifted to seriousness. It sent shivers down my spine. What is it? Promise me that you'll take care of yourself after I'm gone. His eyes bore into mine with an intensity that threatened to unravel everything inside me. Why would you even care? The bitterness seeped into my voice before I could suppress it. Because you deserve more than this, he replied softly, gesturing around us as if encompassing our entire situation, the house filled with memories now tainted by our choices. His words cut deep, they echoed through my mind long after they left his lips, more than just simple advice but a call to action for myself amid all this chaos surrounding us both. I'll try, I murmured finally after what felt like an eternity passed between us without sound or movement except for our racing hearts beating in tandem yet apart at once. A bittersweet symphony playing out under dim lights fading slowly into darkness outside beyond those walls closing around us both ever tighter now despite all efforts made otherwise along their paths leading nowhere fast anymore either way ultimately speaking truthfully. Here today right now together standing side by side. Facing inevitable separation looming ahead looming larger than life itself threatening engulfing everything else entirely leaving nothing behind except memories fading quickly away lost forever without chance redemption sought after desperately clinging tightly onto hope slipping through fingers grasping futilely trying hold on to what little remained left standing strong against odds stacked high against us both ultimately leading nowhere good either way regardless outcome expected already. Known ahead waiting patiently just beyond reach still hopeful wishing praying somehow things might change somehow miraculously turn around again someday soon eventually perhaps if only fate would allow such miracles happen once more bringing light back into lives darkened, shadows cast long ago fading fast away. There was nothing left but silence now. The kind that filled spaces where laughter used to echo freely before all this began spiraling downward fast losing control completely unable grasp hold steady anymore feeling lost adrift aimlessly wandering through life searching desperately answers never coming. Finding none anywhere nearby close enough reach grasp hold onto tightly enough prevent slipping away entirely lost forever gone never returning again no matter how hard tried fight back against. Fate itself determined see things different way change outcome somehow alter course set forth ahead already predetermined long ago somewhere far distant future beyond sight grasp understanding comprehension even fully realizing consequences choices made past. Lingering haunting present moment still fresh vivid mind heart soul alike aching yearning feel whole again once more whole again somehow someday soon perhaps. As he turned away from me toward the door leading outside world waiting patiently beyond thresholds separating two lives once intertwined now fractured irreparably beyond repair forever changed irrevocably altered course taken lost forever never returning home. Again leaving nothing behind except echoes memories fading quickly away drifting softly off into distance becoming whispers carried wind gently rustling leaves trees growing tall reaching sky above stretching endlessly onward upward. Forever seeking solace peace found nowhere near here anymore only emptiness remaining behind now stark reminder choices made along journey taken together apart though always connected still somehow through threads woven tightly binding hearts souls together despite distance separating them physically emotionally spiritually alike each step taken onward forward toward unknown future awaiting arrival beckoning forth new beginnings rising sun illuminating paths ahead shining brightly guiding every step taken onward forward toward unknown future filled wonder excitement longing adventure waiting just outside grasp ready embrace whatever comes next willing take leap faith trusting instincts guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival beckoning forth new beginnings. Rising sun illuminating paths ahead shining brightly guiding every step taken onward forward toward unknown future filled wonder excitement longing adventure waiting just outside grasp ready embrace whatever comes next willing. Take leap faith trusting instincts guiding toward brighter dawns awaiting arrival beckoning forth new beginnings rising sun illuminating paths ahead shining brightly guiding every step taken onward forward. And then he was gone. leaving behind nothing but silence echoing throughout empty space where warmth lingered moments before replaced cold harsh reality setting in slowly creeping across landscape barren desolate, devoid life love hope dreams shattered scattered pieces ground beneath feet walked upon. Daily without thought consideration anymore lost sight purpose meaning amidst chaos swirling around everywhere surrounding enveloping suffocating slowly choking life breath away until nothing remained except shadows dancing flickering light fading fast disappearing completely swallowed darkness engulfing whole world around leaving behind only echoes whispers carried wind drifting softly off into distance becoming faint memories fading quickly away drifting softly off into distance becoming whispers carried wind gently rustling leaves trees growing tall reaching sky above stretching endlessly onward upward forever seeking solace peace found nowhere near here anymore only emptiness remaining behind now stark reminder choices made a long journey taken together apart though always connected still somehow through threads woven tightly binding hearts souls together despite distance separating them physically emotionally spiritually alike each step taken onward forward toward unknown future awaiting arrival beckoning forth new beginnings rising sun illuminating paths ahead shining brightly guiding every step taken onward forward. The sun dipped low over St. Louis, casting a warm glow across the riverfront. I walked slowly, letting the vibrant colors of the sunset wash over me, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside. Each step felt heavy, burdened by the weight of choices I had made and the reality that awaited me at home. The festival was alive with laughter and music, but I felt like a ghost among the crowd. The sounds swirled around me, yet I remained untouched by their joy. My heart ached with a familiar longing as memories of him flickered through my mind, the way he looked at me with such intensity, how we shared secrets in hushed tones that felt like whispers of rebellion. I stopped at a vendor selling kettle corn, its sweet scent mixing with the cool evening air. As I watched families and couples enjoying their time together, I couldn't shake off the emptiness that enveloped me. My marriage had become a series of polite exchanges and unspoken frustrations, leaving me feeling invisible. "Hey there! You look lost," a voice interrupted my thoughts. Turning, I found an old friend from high school standing beside me. Her smile was genuine, and for a fleeting moment, I felt seen again. "Just taking it all in," I replied, forcing a smile back. "You should join us. We're having drinks at the Blue Note," she suggested enthusiastically. The Blue Note was one of those local bars where laughter echoed against brick walls adorned with vintage posters, a perfect escape from reality. "I don't know," my hesitation hung in the air between us. "Come on. It'll be fun." She nudged playfully. "You deserve to have some fun." Her words lingered in my mind like an echo of what could be, a life filled with laughter instead of shadows. Maybe it was time to step out of my comfort zone. "Okay," I finally agreed, surprising even myself. As we made our way to the bar, my heart raced, not from excitement but from fear of what awaited me if I returned home alone later that night. The thought of facing my husband without any semblance of connection felt suffocating. Inside the Blue Note, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Friends gathered around tables while others danced under dim lights that flickered like stars above them. I spotted familiar faces mingling together, some from high school and others from my neighborhood, but they all seemed so far removed from my reality. "Let's grab drinks," my friend exclaimed as she led me to the bar counter. I ordered a glass of wine while she opted for something stronger. As we chatted about old times and shared laughs over memories long forgotten, I found myself loosening up for the first time in months. For an evening, I could forget about everything weighing on my heart, my marriage, my regrets, if only for a little while. But then came that familiar twinge in my chest as thoughts drifted back to him, the nephew who had unknowingly awakened feelings within me that had long been dormant. What would he think if he saw me here? Would he even care? "Hey. You okay?" My friend's voice broke through my reverie as she waved her hand in front of my face. "Yeah, just thinking," I replied absent-mindedly. You should let loose. Dance, she encouraged with excitement sparkling in her eyes. I hesitated but then caught sight of people swaying to the music, a carefree abandon that seemed so foreign to me now. Perhaps this was what I needed, to reclaim parts of myself that had been lost along the way. As we moved to the dance floor, laughter bubbled up within me like champagne fizzing over after being shaken too hard. For those moments surrounded by friends and music, it felt like everything might just be okay again, even if just for tonight. But then it happened, a moment where everything shifted unexpectedly when our eyes met across the crowded room. An old acquaintance caught sight of me and made his way over with a grin plastered across his face. "Long time no see," he said cheerfully as he approached us. I forced another smile while trying not to show any signs of discomfort as he began recounting tales from our past, stories filled with nostalgia but also reminders of who I used to be before life became so complicated. While he spoke animatedly about adventures we once shared during summer break years ago, something shifted within me again. It was as if all those feelings I'd buried deep resurfaced suddenly, like being thrust into cold water after being submerged too long beneath its surface. Suddenly aware of how trapped I'd become within these invisible threads binding me tightly to expectations and responsibilities that no longer served any purpose or joy, I started feeling restless once more. Suffocated beneath layers upon layers built up around years spent avoiding confrontation or change altogether. "Excuse me for just one moment," I said abruptly before stepping away from them both toward an open space near the edge where flickering lights danced against darkened walls surrounding us, a small pocket away from prying eyes yet still close enough where sounds echoed vibrantly nearby. Taking deep breaths filled with relief mixed alongside anxiety, it dawned on me how much longer could this go on? How many more nights would pass without addressing what lay beneath? And then there it was, the realization crashing down like waves against rocks. If nothing changed soon, nothing would ever change at all. My phone buzzed in my pocket unexpectedly. Glancing down revealed an incoming message from him, the nephew whose presence still lingered heavily within every corner left unoccupied since he'd departed weeks prior. "Thinking about you," it read simply, but those words held weight far beyond their simplicity. They stirred something deep inside, a reminder that perhaps there were still choices left waiting ahead beyond these invisible threads binding tighter every day. Before second-guessing myself further, I typed back hurriedly, "We need to talk." With shaking hands clutching tightly around my phone, I took one last breath filled with determination before turning back toward where laughter echoed still throughout the blue note. But even as hope ignited within, it came crashing down when suddenly someone bumped into me hard enough, sending everything spiraling outwards. My phone slipping away, falling onto floorboards below, shattering into pieces along with any sense remaining peace held tightly onto moments earlier. Everything shifted again. My heart raced not only because fear surged through veins but also knowing consequences awaited just beyond this chaos unfolding right here now.